could work your ass off in the gym, you could diet, you can exercise, you know, all of those things, but there are still going to be other factors that come into play. Your stress with your water weight, your health is a really big one. You know, a lot of people come because there's certain parts of your body that are stubborn. The fat doesn't want to leave there. Everyone has their parts of their body, and it's pretty common where in women versus men. I get a lot of guys coming in before their show being like, okay, these love handles aren't moving. So when I hit certain poses, they look really tight, you know, and it's bulging and it doesn't look flattering. So we'll work on that. You know, Cooper, for example, had that issue with his love handles. We did fat calf on his stomach. So he had, you know, to get those abs and the definition and the lines and the striations and everything popping through really, really well. Same thing on his quads, you know, where you hold water weight, because it's still lymphatic drainage and stuff like that. So there's so many different aspects. Like, you know, there's people that come in that need skin tightening, because when your body is shrinking and expanding and shrinking and expanding from when you're building and cutting, your skin loses its elasticity. It gets lost somewhere, especially if you're with a coach that doesn't take those things into play when you're dieting. If you're doing a build and you're putting on 20, 25 extra kilos than you were before, your skin's going to stretch. And so it damages the skin of how quickly you're going to then cut and reverse that. Your body doesn't have time to adapt. So they'll get skin tightening around certain areas, particularly on like the lower stomach is generally where it happens. So that when they're hitting poses, it doesn't crinkle and fold. And so, yeah, like it could be that you want a facelift before you step on stage. You want to look your best. Your prep faces coming in. Like, you know, there's so many different aspects to it. Like,
What's the common one with the girls?
Common one with the girls is the fat cavitation on the stomach. Generally, it's a hormonal area, so it is very common. And
so
also,
the boys have the love handles.
Boys have their love handles,
and the girls have the stomach.
Yeah, and the glutes. The glutes are always a big one on the thighs. So, yeah, generally, like even with EMS, for example, like EMS is really good if you're someone who doesn't have, or if you have separation, or
What's
if you
EMS?
have. So EMS is electronic muscle stimulation. So it basically pulses in stimulation activations of your muscle contraction. So you're basically tensing. And it goes really, really deep within the muscle and pulls back out. So it's really good when you have like an imbalance, you know, like what I was saying about the one side being weaker than the other. It's good if you have abdominal separation, because it will pull everything in from the inside out, creates really, really strong, you know, it will strengthen your tendons and your muscles and everything around it. So it's not the same as working out. It shoots really, really deep to build from the inside out. So that's something if, like, for example, obviously when you're in prep, you're pretty depleted. Girls will get it on the top of their glutes to help sort of keep that round bubble shape. You can get it on your abdomen. You can get it on, you know, I've had a client who snapped his Achilles. And so no matter how much he was training the left Achilles, it wasn't matching the right one. It just wasn't balancing. And because they're muscle activators, like they will shoot really, really deep. And so we got to actually activate those parts that weren't growing and weren't building, and we got to even those out. So I guess the whole concept behind body contouring is shaping, and you're actually contouring to build a body that you cannot build naturally. You know, not because you're not training hard enough or anything like that. There's a lot of, you know, parts of that you can do yourself. But when it comes to certain aspects, your body cannot naturally choose to only, let's just say, get rid of fat sitting on your, you know, your hips. It's not going to do that. Your body will naturally pull weight from wherever it does based on your genetics and whatnot. So it just allows, and obviously coming into prep and everything, athletes know exactly what they need to look like. They know exactly what their issues are. They're going to do exactly what you tell them to do with the aftercare. They're not going to fiddle around. They're not going to be like, oh, I said I'll do that, but I didn't do that. They are going to be strict with it. They're going to make the most of it. And so they get the most out of it because they're going to follow everything that they need to follow, which will give us the result that we need to get by the time that they hop on stage. So they're pretty much the perfect clients in that sense, because you get a lot of clients that will come in and be like, yep, I'll follow that. I'll go to the sauna. I'll drink water. I'll eat healthy. And then they'll come back to you the next week and be like, yeah, I didn't actually get time to do any of that. And it's like, okay, well, we're starting again. So
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
So when you said sometimes you need to instruct them like to go to sauna or to do certain things.
Aftercare is important.
Yeah. And obviously diets, things like that.
Yeah, of course. So if you're if you're looking at losing weight, you're going to be drinking water. You're going to be eating healthy. You're going to be moving. And those are the main things. You're not going to come in, when you get fat cavitation, when you're paying for something, generally speaking, you're going to be a bit more accountable because you're paying for it. Yeah. So, like they will follow the aftercare, but there's a lot of people that will get it and then don't, and then we wind up back into the same spot.